Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk. Welcome back. Why are my glasses so crooked? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. You may have seen part of this battle in a quick tip. We're going to talk about the whole thing because it's going to go back to my discussions recently about positioning, about meat shielding, to some extent, about going to the non-meta positions. Now, Lakeville is really good for this, especially in counter. When you discuss people going to spots that aren't particularly helpful at the beginning. The thing about I'm flanking, trying to go around to the non-meta spot in tanks is you have to do it quickly. All right? And it helps to have a platoon. You'll notice we have two BZ-176s, and they're going to do a pretty decent job and get a lot of damage. But I want you to see how this game flows because it's important. On the one hand, you can look at the end and go, well, they did a great job, and they did. They did a lot of damage. But it's opportunity cost. You took two BZ-176s and you went into the valley. ELC is making a move. We're going to try to get a shot. Takes forever to zoom on this thing and right into the dirt. Doesn't work. Huge dispersion circle, so not surprising I didn't hit that tiny tank at that range. We're going to try one more time. We'll kind of zoom in. Let's see. We're going to get a hit on this guy. Little late, probably went behind it. He died anyway, so nothing. All right, headed on into town. Notice we have myself, the 7501, the King Tiger, and a couple other guys. A significant chunk of our power. AMX, the IS, looks like an IS, two BZ-176s, are up in the Valley of the Noobs. Now, I know a lot of people are starting to like the Valley of the Noobs quite a bit. Get a little bounce off that guy and then eat a shot from the Gonzalo. It's a good spot for the BZ-176s. They're made for positions like that. It's really far away from the cap. The enemy team appears to have not sent that much. We don't have much in the town, so just watch how this goes. What you're doing when you go to spots like that as the BZs, yes, you're trying to win. Yes, you're going to push, and they do that. Yes, you're looking for that kind of, I'll call it asymmetrical or not usual position. Maybe you surprise the team, but you're relying on the rest of your team to hold out. And this has always been my problem with it. And all of a sudden I'm down two big hits from that IS-6B. It absolutely owns me. I'm in big trouble. So I just have to keep my gun in the game. I get another shot in there. The S-51 thumps me. Now I've just got to keep my gun. I've made some kind of poor pokes and decisions right there. And we don't have a whole lot of power in the town. The good news is that the rest of the team, I think, starts to kind of sense that. I'm able to sneak one into the Gonzalo, get a little revenge. The IS-6B doesn't seem very interested in pushing in and taking advantage. I'm not quite reloaded, so I don't want to let him have a shot. He gets by, and I'm like, oh, just. Is he going to back into it? Really hoping he backs into this shot, but he doesn't, pushes down. And I really think there's three guys on cap, by the way. I really think that if the enemy team had got aggressive and pushed in, they'd have had a pretty good time of it. We do have a decent amount. With the Vipera moving up, that does help. So we've got to hold this while the two BZ guys come around from the back end. So they've taken down the 5100. I think they've got one of the TDs back there. To their credit, they are continuing to move and pushing hard. So that is going to be helpful, but we've got to hold. And so far, so good. Unfortunately for me, I've given up a bunch of hit points, so I don't have a lot of options for pushing. There we go. Find this guy. That's very nice. Thank goodness RNG does not let me down right there. Their Artie's dead. That's huge. Very helpful. That's one thing the BZs did that was very nice. And now they're pushing. Got a scout out in front. We own the middle road, so this is looking like pretty much a rompo. We just have to hold for a little while longer. And just more and more of their tanks start to show up here in the middle or over on the cap. And again, I'm just surprised. I'm like, oh, come on. Let me hit that back there. Surprised they didn't get aggressive. If you were the purple team and looked at that, you would say, okay, the two BZs are in the valley. We must have an overmatch here, a decent overmatch. We really need to get aggressive. but they weren't. They wanted to peek and poke and prod. I missed that shot. Then the WZ comes in. I'm thinking, well, this has to be the end, right? We got this nice fast WZ. Keep the front armor to him. There we go. We bounced one. Very nice. He has a relatively long reload for a light tank. Spin the hull and the turret. Let's just back that up. This could actually be a quick tip itself. Waiting for the WZ to come in. I've talked about this before. First thing I do to try to survive is keep the front armor to him as much as possible. Okay, he shoots. That's great. Now when I get to here, I'm going to, as he goes by, I'll go forward, and I'm going to spin the hull and the turret. And that's going to get me more. There we go. It's going to bring the gun online. So I'm going to get more rotation out of the turret when I spin the hull and the turret at the same time. Basically add those 2 degrees together, and that's how fast now you're spinning. This tank is a little tricky because it gets a little forward momentum, and I did have to watch out for not getting stuck against the building right there. Now this is what the tactics of the quick tip was. Again, I'm still low hit points. We're really in good shape at this point. I want to get as much damage as I can out of this game. I've only got 995, and we've got a kill. I'm going to push in here, and I try to get a shot on the IS-2. I see that the CC gets hit, so he's just about dead. Take a shot there and miss, and you'll notice that the IS-6B is starting to move towards me. I thought maybe the Tiger would kill me. I see the IS-6B coming, and this was, again, the quick tip that I did. I don't want to stop here on this corner because I might get killed by the Tiger, so I'm going to keep backing out. And I know this IS-6 wants to come kill me. So we're going to set up on this corner right here, and we're going to try to track him as he comes through and then back around this. He's not looking at me for whatever reason. We're going to wait for him. Is he going to go right or left? Okay, he's going to come around on the right side. We're going to set up for the same shot here. We'll hit him again in the tracks, and we'll back out. Lucky, I think, to some extent. That's what the plan was, and it was executed. Down goes the IS-6B to the 12T, getting shot in the back. He wasn't looking at me on the first one. He wasn't ready to shoot on the second one as I broke down in the quick tip. But we survived that and come out with 1861 out of what was a fairly mediocre game. And now the BZ-176s are just rolling up, the rest of them in the town. The Valley, right? In a match like this, and a lot of the encounter matches are like this. Even, I would say to a large extent, the standard matches can be like this, but especially encounter matches where the whole west side of the map is so far away. If they had got in there and got pinned down by a few more tanks that could handle them for a little while and slowed them down, we might have had trouble in the town. But as soon as they came around behind him and started chewing them up. So if you're going to do stuff like that, you're really relying on your team to survive. And I will tell you that, in my opinion, in the main, in the whole, in the aggregate, in the big picture, expecting your team to hold a spot when they're a little bit weaker is generally not a great idea, right? They got away with it there. We were able to do it. Kept our guns in the game, kept them pinned down for a while. The purple team was not really pushing hard in there when I think they probably could have. And they were able to come around from behind. So that's always been my point with those kinds of tactics, is when you're relying on your team to do something like that, I think you're putting a lot of pressure on them to hold or perform. And if those BZs had been in the town, it wouldn't have mattered if the enemy team had won the Valley, because 2 BZs in there with what they had would have absolutely eaten them for lunch. And then with us as support, it would have just been a romple in the town. But there you go. Still pretty much a romple. Really not in doubt once we were able to hold long enough to get the BZs in behind him. But as the BZs went over to the 1-2 column, I was looking at it going, I'm not liking this very much. This doesn't look like a very strong position. But we were able to hold long enough, get them around the corner. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments with that. I know there's a lot of different opinions on that. There's probably people who thought that was perfectly executed by the BZs. And I would say that, yes, it was well executed by them. But the question is, or what, right? What was the other possibility? The other possibility is they go into town and they face stomp everything in there. And it doesn't get exciting at all. That's one thing I debrief people for the job that I do. I'm like, all right, do things that make sense, that don't make it exciting for everybody, right? And it got a little exciting in there in town. All right, that's all I've got. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. We will see you.